Alrighty, so it looks like we are back again. Hopefully it's getting very late. I spent some time tonight on, today on getting some more strips on the barn, get a little more dried in. We had a really heavy driving rain that hit from the southeast last night, and all day today it was nasty. It was driving right in through those cracks. So yeah, I got to get those strips on out there that I had. So anyway, that was the opening of the video. So what we're going to do with this, I know this is kind of out in the middle of the floor. Now I had contemplated putting this closer to a wall so it wasn't right in the middle of the floor, and I got thinking about it. A lot of times the stuff I'm going to be forging and things like that are going to be smaller items. We're not doing swords, we're not doing big guardrails. We're not doing fancy wrought iron gate work or anything like that. We're pretty much just going to be making tools and maybe some little gadgets here and there. So I kind of want this in a place where I can work around it and get around the entire thing. And I've decided what I'm going to do with this, and it was a viewer suggestion, an excellent suggestion. Put some holes in here so I can put some bending jigs and whatnot in here. I think that's a phenomenal idea. Now, I had other suggestions of filling this with sand. I'm not doing that, and reason being is there probably won't be a whole lot of pounding on this. Now I know even if I do, it's going to ring like a bell. Let's see if we have a hammer here I can show you. Oh, where's my... Right there. So she will be... Got a pretty good ring to it. Now, we get that thing, we get it mounted to the floor. That'll help take care of some of that. But like I said, I'm really not planning on doing a whole lot of pounding on this. We may end up doing, I'm going to put make a couple of mandrels just to go in this vise. And that'll be for doing socket chisels, things like that. So we'll be doing a little pounding on it then. But that should just be mostly for the forge welding process and shouldn't be too bad. Now, I've got to figure out, I've got to do a little research on how I want to make this bending jigs on here, what I want to do. Do I want to make it so it's plates I slide on there? Or do I want to make it so it's a series of pins that I can move around? If I do turn this thing into Swiss cheese for pins, I will put the gusset in there. But the way it is right now, that's a piece of 3/4 plate steel, and I don't plan on pounding on it. If I was going to be pounding on this thing, yeah, that'd be a little different, but that's what we have an anvil for. The anvil's for the pounding. So once we get this in, we get this set, this small bench over here, she's going to be gone. We're going to... That's going to be coming out of here. We have our big bench in here. We don't need this one anymore. That 20-minute railroad track anvil stand we used just to get us going, that'll be disassembled. That'll be out of here. The big 10 by 10 blocks that we use for just whatever, for dunnage and whatnot, that'll be out of here. So anyway, let's get to the plan. The plan is we're going to cut 4 pieces about 2 feet long out of this thing. We're going to rim this around. I'm going to have to cut the ends on 2 of them diagonal just to soften. It's going to be a foot catcher, but that's what I have to secure this thing. And after a while, you get walking around stuff like that, you just know to pick your feet up and know not to hit it. It's probably going to take me a good 2 or 3 months probably to keep from stubbing my toes on that, but that's the way it is, folks. That's what I have. I have a piece of 1/2-inch plate steel, but I have other plans for that, and I really need it for the other plans. I really don't want to lose any more off of that because that will be going, part of that's going to be going into building our 2x72 belt grinder, so I really don't want to sacrifice any more of that. So anyway, enough yakking. Let's get to work. Well, let's see how this goes. It's been my first day measuring stuff. I think I kind of like where that sits right there. Let's see if we can make it sturdy now. All right, guys, I'm going to do some grinding and welding, and I will come back with the camera after we are done with that. Well, I was going to use the 4-inchers, but they were not playing nice, so I shortened them up. I snapped one right off, which is no good, but this will work just fine. Hopefully, we'll see. Chances are I'll probably be drilling these out and putting the drop-in anchors in place, but right now we're just wanting to see if this is going to work where it is. That's in there, man. That is in there. Okay, let's see how we did here. Now there's only 7 tap guns in the floor. Like I said, that one broke, but let's see. Well, if that could take 220 pounds that way, I'd say that's pretty solid. Of course, won't I be surprised if this thing rips out of the floor right now and the corner of this 3/4 steel catches me right in the parts. That would serve me right. Yeah, I'd say she's solid, folks. Good enough. Another part of the puzzle in. I like that. And actually ready for use. And get the ceremonial seat of honor here. Let's pick up this welding rod before I just get this all ruined on me. Tell you what, I love 7018 AC. It is such a nice rod to work with. It's so forgiving for a newbie like me. It's very nice stuff. Let's get the old chair right where I can look at you guys and you can look at my pretty face. Get my feet up on this $400 footrest here. What a good footrest it is. Look at that. See that? Just the perfect size. I get a lot of you guys ask me, with the woodworking I know how to do, how come I'm still using this plastic piece of shit $10 rocking chair? I'll tell you what. This is the most comfortable damn rocking chair I've ever plopped my ass into. And I have plopped my ass into a whole lot of rocking chairs. This thing is just right. Just ergonomic, good, it's light. And of course, if I put a wooden one out here, it would probably burst into flames with all the grinding and welding. And, you know, this will just melt and leave a messy puddle on the floor. So anyway, so we have the strips on this side of the barn on the back half. So the forge area is covered. We have to continue down the other side because those are the boards that were on the building first, so they have the biggest gaps in them. And when we get a good driving, blowing rain, it doesn't happen. It happens enough. Fall this time of year especially, and the winds are really heavy, the weather's changing a lot. I'll get some driving in through the cracks, and that is just no good. So I can either, you know, sit here in my rocking chair, my feet up, and watch the building rot that I busted my ass to build, or I can get the strips on as we go. So this time of year is perfect working weather. I mean, it's just right to be outside doing that stuff. Even a little bit of rain, it's not so bad. It's nice and cool, you know. I'm a cold weather guy. I always have been. Of course, the all the metal and hardware in that ankle now, it makes it a little bit tougher, but I still prefer it over 90 degrees and humid. Ugh, just nasty stuff. So anyway, this week we're going to start the project that I've been putting off for a long time, since the day this anvil came into this barn. It is time to restore this anvil. Not really restore, but make it usable, make it workable again. It works. It's a heavy metal object. You can pound steel on it all day and steel will move, but it's got a good sway back to it. The edges are damaged. We need to get those cleaned up. Now, I've had some suggestions of using hard-facing rod. Hard-facing rod is not a very good choice, in my opinion, to restore one of these, because it is so hard. You have to put it down in really thin layers. It has a tendency, if you're beating on it, to chip and fly off, and I really don't want that, especially, you know, right in line with the old parts here, just like everything else. I'm gonna have to round those corners off on that thing too, on that vise stand. But anyway, we're going to be using the 7018 AC. Now, when I did the railroad track anvil, I used 7018 AC to weld that together and in between. And I tell you what, that stuff work hardens really, really well. So basically what I'm going to be doing with it, and it's going to be a lot, we're going to burn up a lot of welding rod getting that in, because if I were to take this to a machinist friend of mine and have him flatten that top out as it is, we would be left with a very, very thin layer of the face of the anvil, the plate, the steel plate that's forge welded onto that, and we don't really want that. So my plan is to build it up and flatten it out. Now, I have some ideas for fixing around the hardy hole. A couple things I've seen. I actually did it on the railroad track anvil with some copper to keep the to keep it clean. Of course, on the other hand, having that curved over a little bit is kind of handy if you have hardy hole tools where you've welded a stem onto them to go into the hardy hole. It kind of leaves a space for that, but we'll see as we go. We're going to reshape that horn a little bit, bring the point back. I know it's right at a bad level, but that's one of those things where you might as well get used to it. If you're going to own an anvil, you're going to have the horn to contend with. That's one reason it's actually a big reason I faced the anvil horn away from the forge, so that when I'm working and you're turning around from the forge, you're not catching yourself on that horn. You could get hurt pretty well, especially the location of that thing. It could drive into your leg pretty good, especially if you clean it up and sharpen it the way it was designed. On this anvil, you could see where somebody blunted the point on that horn, and a lot of people do that. But we kind of need that point right. So anyway, I'm done yakking. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will see you on the next one.